Alright, BattleBit Remastered, a game that has been in development for years and has 3 loving developers behind it who put work into making sure the community was able to playtest it over and over and over again before launch, has seen roaring success with an all-time peak of 87,000 concurrent players since launch. I put 50 hours into the playtest and 150 hours into the early access release in the last 2 weeks alone. Here are the 3 main reasons behind the game's success, in my opinion. The first is what we will call the core experience. For me, this includes things like gunplay and movement, core to a first-person shooter, and then, of course, things like optimization, accessibility, customization, and general ease of use. The gunplay in BattleBit Remastered is exceptional, and it's hard to imagine a game that looks like BattleBit being able to pull off satisfying, skill-based, and visceral gunplay like some of the best games in the genre. You might look at the visuals and think the guns will be a joke to control, but that's absolutely not the case. Guns in BattleBit Remastered have recoil, and while it's not a crazy amount, it's enough to make the guns feel rewarding to be able to control, but it's not an amount that will turn more casual players away from the game. I was surprised to learn that this game originally had a more hardcore feel, but then they had to back away from that and lean into more arcadey gameplay because of how the game looked. This was an incredibly self-aware move from the developers as they tried to make the gunplay match the visuals of the game, and it 100% paid off. I'll link the article I learnt that from in the description, it's a great read. On top of great gunplay though, movement feels appropriate, and in combination with the very lenient vaulting mechanics, you get a lot of control and freedom of your movement, which is very helpful in getting around all the destruction that this game has to offer, and allows for sick outplay maneuvers on maps like Frugus, where you can just duck and dive in between windows and walls. The game's optimization is also incredible. Being able to fit 254 players onto one server without it lagging on the network or performance side of things is spectacular. Because they went with low poly graphics, that opens the game up for a lot of people on lower end rigs, without compromising on the things that matter, which again, they've done excellently. The next reason this game has succeeded is because the selling points for it are executed well. The 2 biggest selling points being the 254 players on one server and the destruction. I mentioned this before, but the servers perform well even with all those people playing on it, so that's not an issue. But what about the actual experience of 254 players on one map? Does it provide that Battlefield-esque chaos that we all love? Yeah, absolutely it does, and it's in its own unique way too. Getting this aspect right is not only great for the game's identity, but it's also a good way to entice people disappointed by 2042 to get on board with this game. So often are mass amounts of people funneled into one location with grenades, vehicles, helicopters, and just more crazy shit going on all around you. It leads to massive multi-kills, funny moments, and just general chaos. For some people, it means building defenses matters. For others, it's about sitting at the edge of the map with a sniper, watching it all go down. For me, it's about getting that flank and seeing 20 people lined up just waiting to be sprayed down. No matter how you play, you'll find something to enjoy out of the insane amount of players. So that's selling point number 1 nailed. But the other one is the destruction, and that's also pulled off quite nicely. Most of the map is destructible, and when a building takes enough damage, it collapses, killing everyone inside if you don't get out. Walls can be blown off by C4, towers will fall if the foundations take enough damage, and most of the maps have unique events triggered by destruction, like the silo falling apart on Valley. Not only is destruction fun to observe and play with on a more micro level, but some maps will change drastically over the course of a game, changing the way the objectives are pushed and the terrain is navigated. All in all, its design within the game works incredibly well, and plays nicely into the 254 player chaos too. Some people will look at these aspects and think they're gimmicks or novelty. In other games, that might be the case for things that are designed to bring you in but not deep enough to keep you engaged. That's not the case here. Having 254 players on one server and having the whole map be destructible are core parts of the experience and not a novelty. And finally, word of mouth has just been insane for this game. But I also think that that's helped due to how many free playtests were done before the final release. Towards the end of the playtests, this game had a steady hype going around from creators, streamers, and of course within friend circles. As soon as early access hit, the game already had a large steady flow of players who were already keen to buy it from having played the playtests, and then it just snowballs from there. People see it's popular and want to try it, friends will tell you about it, I know I showed it to my mates, creators will stream it and make content for it, you see it on the front page of Steam, articles are written, etc, etc. The only marketing this team had that I can see was the power of the free playtests and a dedicated community that, as soon as the game went live, were there to send the Steam numbers up, exploding the popularity of the game. Obviously, word of mouth can sometimes be a hindrance to games. I wonder how many people would have bought the Golem game if people hadn't advised against it, but in this case, word on the street is all positive. Those are the main reasons I think this game has exploded. Of course, there are many others, like how easy it is to play with friends, the proximity chat, the competitiveness, and many more. But overall, those are my thoughts on why BattleBit has succeeded. In other news, I'm going to release a short a day about random gaming stuff from new releases to the biggest news, so subscribe if that's something you're interested in, or more content like this where I just spit out my thoughts on things. Anyway, have a great day and see you later.